The current generation of consoles seems like they were just released yesterday, but we're already preparing for a 9th generation. However, as we move towards the future of gaming, the power of our consoles is not going to come exclusively from the hardware in our living room, but also the all-powerful cloud. This means the potential for playing any game anywhere, anytime is within reach. Want to play a spot of Gears of War on your phone between classes? Go for it. A couple of rounds of Siege on your laptop during lunch? Why not? Or even swing around New York in the new Spider-Man on your iPad while on the train. Nobody's stopping you. Gaming in the cloud means that the games we will play in the future very well might be played from computer servers miles away instead of the consoles next to our television or even in our hands. But as I will soon explain, this task is not an easy one and provides many hurdles that most of the world's not quite ready for. Things like internet bandwidth and infrastructure, product ownership, and an audience for these services need to be addressed in the hopes of claiming a prized title of becoming a Netflix of gaming. Netflix has become the go-to for comparisons when talking about providing an all-access streaming service. For good reason too, recently showing off their impressive account numbers as they passed 125 million paying subscribers, which doesn't include the individual profiles on those counts. Even leading Spotify by almost double, who sits at 71 million. The influence of Netflix on other industries means that many companies strive to be the Netflix of their market. These attempts come with the goal of being the Netflix of books, ebooks, magazines, audiobooks, and even fashion sometimes. And like these companies, there is of course still an active race for who will become the Netflix of gaming, so to speak. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, it's important to understand how traditional video and music streaming works. Simply put, when you select something to stream on your device, it sends a signal to the nearest servers and they begin sending the content back to you. While streaming the audio or video, you aren't downloading it in full. Instead, media is normally broken up into smaller segments, maybe 2 to 10 seconds, depending on the type of streaming. And then it's queued up so that you're not constantly loading the next couple of seconds. Doing this provides easy adjustment to internet strength, media quality, language changes, and skipping or rewinding. When any of those changes are made, your device sends a signal to the server to adjust the media, and the stream continues. Simple enough, right? Now for the gaming side of things. The current game market does have some subscription services, but those don't all rely on game streaming or cloud gaming. Instead, most focused on downloads, like EA and Origin Access and Xbox Game Pass, through which games are fully downloaded to a system and then played off of local hardware. In contrast, cloud gaming doesn't download any game directly to your console. Instead, they are run on servers that send the game video back to your screen, wherever that might be. Many services have been created to facilitate this innovation in gaming, but not all have survived. Those who are still standing are facing numerous barriers to overcome. Recently, even Microsoft threw their hat into the ring to compete with the likes of Sony and their PlayStation Now platform by creating a new team led by Kareem Chowdhury, who heavily was involved in the creation of the Xbox One X and has since changed his focus towards cloud gaming for everyone. However, the process of playing games over the cloud proves to be more complicated than traditional streaming. This is because when gaming on the cloud, every time you press a button, that button press has to be sent to the server, action completed, and then the information has to be sent back to you and your screen. The problems arise during this process of getting the information back to you, requiring a round-trip time for a button press to on-screen action to be only a few fractions of a second. Where traditional media streaming can queue up segments ahead of time, game streaming doesn't have that luxury, because at any given second you could press a button and change the whole screen. Sending information back and forth with button press and feedback can be done, but the delay between the action and reaction can turn the tide of your gaming experience. This is especially a factor when playing games that require exact movements or timing, like Celeste or Dark Souls. Meaning that just like streaming movies and music, internet connection is the largest factor in the quality of your gaming experience. Current services like Sony's PlayStation Now have shown us that you need a constant 5 megabits a second for a good experience with their service. This connection minimum might not seem like a big problem for some, but also consider that most countries throughout the world fall well below that as an average connection speed, meaning that those audiences don't have access to these services without encountering some serious problems, if it works at all. However, it's not just the speed that determines how much gaming you'll be doing on your new streaming console. Data caps from internet providers have become an unfortunate reality, and might strongly sway how much gaming you'll actually do on the cloud. When running a minimum stable internet speed of 5 megabits a second, you could use about 3 to 4 gigs of data per hour just to provide a low or good quality experience. If you were to use a higher speed like 10 or more megabits a second, which is necessary to play games at 1080p without problems, you'll be probably looking at more along the lines of 10 gigs per hour. And this can begin to add up very fast, especially for those gamers who have internet providers like Comcast, who have begun implementing monthly data caps on their customers. An unfortunate reality that goes along with these high data requirements is the transition to a new standard of gaming content being created in 4K. To stream games of that high of quality requires a significantly higher connection speed, and carrying along with that a corresponding high data cost. On the other hand, it's not just the tech that could hold us back, because the longevity of purchasing games and wanting to own games long term could also prove to be a detriment to a system focused on cloud gaming. When using a service like Netflix, we are provided a license to watch the movies, but we do not really own them. The same thing would be the case for cloud gaming services, meaning that all the games we would play were never really ours. It is possible, like through a PlayStation Now marketplace, to provide gamers an option to purchase a cloud game to own, but this only provides the gamer access to the game so long as the service is online. A few years into the future, when new products and new services are launched and older services are phased out, those purchases disappear. I'd like to think that is something that these new hardware developers are keeping in mind, and might allow gamers to purchase even physical copies of games that they can insert to access cloud versions. Either way, I'm sure this is an issue that's currently being discussed, and I'm looking forward to hearing how they get around this speed bump for consumers. So after all of that, why is this important? Well, the year 2020 is just around the corner, and is poised to bring with it a next generation of home consoles. With both Sony and Microsoft actively pursuing cloud-based gaming, and even Microsoft's rumored cloud gaming-focused alternative, it's important to know how all this works. There will be improvements between now and then to internet and infrastructure, but Microsoft's Kareem Chowdhury's goal of reaching 2 billion players around the world might need a little bit more time. The pursuit of creating a Netflix of gaming has been constantly chased for some time now. A leap in cloud-based gaming has been looming on the horizon for years, and it appears to be much closer to becoming a reality. I don't see this next generation of cloud gaming repeating the same struggles and failures as the early innovators, but they still share the same hurdles. And when it finally gets here, will we be ready for this dream come true of gaming everywhere? Or will it just be a product of being unprepared and having our head in the clouds? Tell me in the comments what you think about with this push for cloud gaming in this next generation, or if you've already had experiences with it, what did you think? For those of you new to the channel, I'd encourage you to check out my small beginnings video. It's right here, and it kind of gives you an idea of what my next 2-year plan is with this channel. If you're interested in supporting some of the goals that I have for this channel, please check out my Patreon and become one of my early supporters who will have their credits put on every single one of my videos. Until next time, this has been Devin J, and this is Pixel Report. Thank you.